This video doesn't contain any spoilers. Gameplay in the background is of like the first 15 minutes of the game. It's just background footage. So if you don't want to see any spoilers, you can just listen to it. And I also don't discuss any spoilers in the video. So there you go. All right, folks. We've got the cup of coffee. We've got the Belgian dark chocolate waffle. So let's waffle on. Great transition. Speaking of transition, let's transition into liking, commenting, subscribing and hitting that join button to help your boy out. Bought the game and installed it, did a couple benchmarks, thought this looks fantastic. Sorry, let me just tweak this mic. Yeah, I thought this looks absolutely fantastic. Let's get into it. So I started playing it and I just genuinely can't get into it, and I feel like eventually I will. But I feel like the game sums up every modern gaming issue I have, so I thought I'd just talk about it for like 10 minutes. So, first of all, obviously it's massively hyped, and we all know when a game's massively hyped, there's only one way it's going, and it's never living up to the hype, because in fairness it's not possible. But why it annoys me is a few things. For one, developers never like squash it. I know it's their job to build hype, but it just becomes a point. There just becomes a point where, alright, let's say somebody says, oh wait, this means you can do this in the game, and the developer's like, yeah. You know, he doesn't want to squash the hype, so they keep building it and building it and building it until unattainable levels. Think of No Man's Sky. It was that guy's first game, and he was getting all this praise and all this hype, and people were asking him questions, and he obviously didn't want to be like, no, you can't do that in the game. No, it's more limited than that. He didn't want to squash it because sales are sales, right? And if it's your first game, you're going to want some good sales. And it reminds me of No Man's Sky, but it's kind of worse because it's coming from a well-established studio, and it's coming from multiple publishers that should know better. So for one, the game got unobtainable hype. The developers didn't squash the hype. They didn't say, yeah, not, you know, like we had things like saying it's the most diverse interactive city there's ever been with the most amount of stuff. And from my limited playtime, it's like hollow. Yes, there are people walking around, but it's like PlayStation 2 where you press interact and they go, hey, how are you doing? And then you can go into like the odd shop, but nothing's really open and you can't really go in anything. And if you can go in it, it's kind of like nothing in there. So the city's very hollow. This could be to do with the fact that they thought, right, we need to get this game out on the older consoles, and we can't have all of this interactivity going on in the city. It'll never run, so let's cut it. Or they ran out of time to add it, or they just never had any intention of doing it. Also, little things, you know, let's talk about some little things, and we'll obviously get onto the big things. Just stuff like your main character, he's the only one that rides a bike in the city. You'll notice this. So, if you're on a motorbike, nobody else has a motorbike ever. It's like playing GTA and seeing the same type of car over and over and over again. You're kind of like, yeah, this isn't realistic at all. Where are the bikes? Where are the little Cyberpunk bike gangs? Where are people on scooters? Or where are people on, you know, vans and lorries and all this type of stuff, right? It's just basic cars that all look very similar. Speaking of vehicles, the turning of the car is like, it doesn't respond and then it over responds, so it's like this snaky overreacting driving game. And imagine playing Grand Theft Auto, but the driving was just not fun and it sucked and you hated having to get in a car. It wouldn't be nearly as good of a game, would it? That comes down to the fact that this company's probably never made a driving game before, or they've rushed it, completely rushed it, or they've just flat out got it wrong, and whoever's tested it hasn't told them, or they've told them and they haven't had time. So you've got issues like the city doesn't kind of function. You've got issues like you put everything on ultra and you look at a guy and he's wearing a completely 2D uniform because some graphics just don't load, some settings in the graphics options don't load. You've got massive bugs, like doesn't matter where you are on the map. You could be up a skyscraper. If you kill somebody, the police just teleport in front of you. And then if you sort of run away like 2 yards, they also completely disappear away from you. So you've got like this really jarring situation where you can have a wanted level and then it instantly disappears. Or you can do a tiny thing where probably nobody saw it and you're instantly seized upon by the police in a completely unrealistic manner. I genuinely as well don't feel for any of the characters yet. Some scenes I've started to get into. I'm not going to talk spoilers, but I haven't been gripped in the first 9 hours yet of the game, to be honest. I felt like I was playing it because it was Cyberpunk and people told me it was good, rather than actually wanting to play it. Next, obviously, you've got this sex-filled world. And people, this is the problem on the internet, people think that because you're ragging on it, you're like some sort of, I don't know, what's the word, like you can't have fun, you're straight edge, it's blah blah. It's nothing to do with that. You watch Blade Runner, or you watch, say, Altered Carbon, the sex in that game, the scenes, the general universe, it's like you can hire AI. That's like the point of it, you know. You come home from your shit fucking cyberpunk job, you hire this virtual AI, you dollar out, you pick all these settings, or pick the settings for the dude or whatever you want, right? And it makes sense in the universe, whereas Cyberpunk, it's just randomly there. Like you've just got like sex billboards, shops, and it's never explained. They're just there for like, hey, maybe if we put this shit in the game, people will meme on it, which will get us more clicks, which will get us more views. It has nothing to do with it. People say, well, in the lore book, it explains it. Yeah, well, I ain't reading the lore book, am I? So unless it's explained in the game, to me, it's just random. It's like playing The Witcher and then having a fueled up rocket next to somebody's house, and people going, why is that in there? That doesn't make sense. And somebody going, in the lore book it does. And it's like, well, if it doesn't explain it, it's pretty poor. You know, stupid things like they literally had to patch out dildos out of the game because there was that many. And yeah, people will laugh, but honestly, it's just like not 2 years old. It's not even like remotely amusing. It's completely universe breaking. It just takes me out of the experience. And also, one of the weapons is one of the stronger melee weapons in the game, stronger than my katana, so you can wield it around like it's Saints Row. But Saints Row does funny guns better. This doesn't even do it good because the melee combat lacks any sort of weight. So it's like they just put it in there because they knew if they made it really strong, people would use it and then post clips, and then, you know, you'd see those headlines. It kind of reminds me of like, oh, you're in Red Dead Redemption 2, your horse's balls get cold and warm. Or, oh, look, this person's running around with a massive fucking chopping somebody up with a dildo. That's what it reminds me of. It's like it's just in there purely just for like the media and clicks, and it doesn't really have any relevance. Although you could argue the Red Dead Redemption 2 thing at least had relevance because it was realistic. Having a dildo be an overpowered melee weapon in a, quote, smart, technological, advanced, you know, universe doesn't make sense. Also found the minimap impossible to navigate. I struggle with maps and minimaps in games anyway, if anyone's watched my stream, but generally it's really difficult to navigate the world with a minimap. And it's like, well, can't you go and get an implant that like puts up waypoints on the map? You could install it, you could call it like optional waypoint, you know. You could turn it on and off if you find it immersion breaking. You know, some people could turn it on with their eye off. You know, you could do anything like that, right? So I'm finding that really difficult to navigate. It's one of those games where it's hard to critique because apparently if you critique it, I've seen reviews online get taken down, stuff disappear. And then we haven't even gotten to the performance. Obviously the performance of the game, if you're playing on a PS4 or an Xbox X or whatever it's called, they just 15 FPS don't really run. And people are saying like, well, maybe they made the world too big, too advanced, and it can't run it. And it's like, well, no, because there's actually really not that much in the universe. And the game was made and announced before the new consoles existed. So clearly it was meant to run on these consoles. They knew it wouldn't run on the consoles. They stopped reviewers posting footage of the consoles, of the older consoles, sorry, with the new game running on it, because they knew it didn't run. And now they've had to put out a statement saying, oh, we're really sorry if it doesn't run. We weren't to know, type of thing. You can have a refund if you want, and it's kind of difficult to get a refund anyway because of PlayStation's policy. They knew it didn't run. You don't build a game and know it doesn't run on an Xbox. It will have been tested. They knew it and still released it. And I'll tell you why it's annoying, because one, CD Projekt Red could have said, we're not putting a bad game out, we're waiting. If that means us taking a monetary hit, so be it. Put it this way, already the entire development of Cyberpunk and all of the marketing, like think how expensive the marketing was. Keanu Reeves, every bloody person was going on about it, right? It's all paid for already. Just based off like day one sales and pre-orders, it's already paid for all of those hundreds of millions, probably bloody billions of dollars spent making this game. So it's not like if they delayed it a little bit, they couldn't have recouped that money. It might have come in a bit slower, but they definitely would have got it. But the board members, the higher-ups, the devs, whoever it was, they obviously wanted to do two things. They wanted to get the COVID crowd, everyone's stuck at home, other countries are going back into lockdown again, so everyone's stuck at home and they're bored and they think, well, I may as well play Cyberpunk, it's out now. The Christmas crowd, obviously you're getting the people buying Cyberpunk for Christmas gifts. They're going to be disappointed if they play that on day one. They give their kid the game on day one and the game's a broken mess and it doesn't run well. And yeah, they wanted that Christmas money, they wanted that COVID money, and obviously it's just get it out now, give us the money now, isn't it? Rush it out, because ultimately once you've got the money, you've got the money. 99% of people aren't going to refund it, they're not going to take it back and moan, they're just going to go, well, I've got it, I'll play it, it's not great, boo-hoo. So they just completely rushed the entire game out, and it annoys me because the gamers that, when they were told there was a first delay about Cyberpunk, people were crying on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, wherever the hell, YouTube, people were moaning that the game had been delayed. They said, oh my god, I can't believe they've done this, the game's been delayed again, how dare they, it's already been 7 years. And now they're moaning that the game's buggy and that the game doesn't work. It's like, you can't have both ways. So clearly the devs were pressurized by the higher ups to release it, to hit all of those markets we just talked about. But also they were definitely concerned that if they delayed it again, with the amount of internet backlash they got last time for a single delay, if they delayed it again after saying no more delays, then you know, they were going to get even more backlash, when really gamers should have said, that's great, you take your time and get it finished. I'm not dying because Cyberpunk 2077 didn't exist a year ago. I wouldn't be crying if it didn't exist now. If I had to wait a year to play it, then you wait a year. It's a video game. It's just a 30-hour plus experience that you're just going to play and then probably forget about in a few weeks' time. You know, it's not the end of the world if the game comes out immediately or not. You can wait. So yeah, gamers are kind of to blame because they absolutely moaned, but mostly it's the boardroom, and I think there's been a clever spin on it, which most people aren't picking up on, is when they came out and said, congratulations guys, the game's ready, no more delays. That was a big positive PR spin. Hey, no more delays, it's coming out. Whereas I read that as, we've been told, listen, you ain't delaying this game anymore, guys. You need to get it out for these markets, for this COVID situation, for everything. You know, there's been more players on Steam online than ever before in the history of Steam. They definitely wanted to capture that market, and they've said there's no more delays, you're putting it out. And Project Red thought, right, let's spin this into a positive. Hooray guys, we're done, no more delays. So the story might end up being good, I don't know, but it's really hard to get into the game when it's a complete buggy, laggy mess. People saying they feel sorry for the devs. Well, ultimately, they probably do have a large reason why it is as bad as it is, let's be honest. Now, I'm not trying to slate them, but, you know, you sign these contracts, you do these things, and you've released it ultimately, so, you know, you can't really let them off too lightly. It's not like they're not culpable. I'll read you the thing and then we'll end it, but basically it's just a complete buggy mess, so I'm probably just going to wait for it to be fixed. There's a big patch coming out in January and February. I can't delay the game myself, can I? I can't delay the game myself. They were always going to push it for those markets, but I can delay it by not playing it, so I will wait till the game's fixed. I'm not desperate to play it. I know people want to upload it and get views, but I'd rather just enjoy the game. You know, right now it's just not immersive at all. And I recently, maybe I've got a bit older, but I like an immersive game. I like when I play the game to feel like I'm in the world. Kind of like reminds me like when you were a kid and you watched Harry Potter, you really felt like you're in the Harry Potter universe. And you know, The Witcher felt like you were really in the Witcher universe. With this, I don't feel like I'm in, quote, Night City. I just feel like I'm an NPC wandering around. Like, I can do way more things than other people can. I can run fast. You know, I can, you know, I just don't feel like I belong in the universe. I can't go to a shop. I can't even, like, the character creation screen for me didn't really work. Everybody was talking about amazing character creation screen, but I couldn't change anything apart from, like, my hair. For some reason, there was just no options. I don't know if it was bugged or whatever. But basically, you could change a few things. But I've seen people, like, morphing their jaws, changing sizes of things. I couldn't do any of that. So I'm stuck with this character I don't even like. And you can't even, like, drive around the city, get a haircut, change your top, whatever. It's completely crappy NPC AI on top of it all, inside of a bad world. This isn't like Skyrim, where the world's so big, you know, there's some funny bugs that happen. Like, oh, look, this piece of paper's floating in the sky. It's just like actual, frankly, game-breaking bugs. So, you know, I don't really think that Project Red deserves some massive forgiveness because they've put out some statement. You know, they're all involved in it. The AI is, like, worse than Oblivion, let's be honest. Like, and it's just not good. It's not a good game. Like, that's all I can say. It's literally not a good game. People are still rating it highly. Oh, without the bugs, it's a good... It's not. It's not a good game. It's an okay experience, which is exactly what I thought it would be. The only reason I bought it was because I had a Steam code that gave money off. So I got the game for 20 quid. And I was like, well, for 20 quid, I can't really go too far wrong, can I? But it's literally got worse police AI than GTA 3. And that's an actual fact. It's not even an RPG game, man. It's like a open world game on rails where you visit place to place. I'm not going to request a refund because I've played it for 10 hours. It'd probably be difficult to get a refund. But it's not an RPG game. It's like it's got no structure. It's actually really, really poor. So they'll probably fix it in a year and it'll become a lot better, or it'll become less average, but it's nothing. Don't, like, if you can't play it and you're thinking, oh my god, I need the best graphics card ever to run this, I need to build a whole new system, like, it's not worth it. Like, it's just a video. It's exactly what I expected it to be. A cyberpunkish looking ARPG experience. People were saying you can follow the AI and all of the AI have their own lives and you can watch the AI. Like, so for example, if you picked out a random guy in the street, you could follow him. He'd go to his job, he'd go to his home, he'd do his work, he'd get in the car, he'd talk to other people. I'm like, for one, you're dumb for even thinking that, and two, the devs should be cutting this stuff out and saying, yeah, you can't do that. The devs were amping this up. Obviously that's not going to happen. People were like thinking this was going to be like a 400-hour experience where you like live in Night City and it's like the most immersive RPG ever and you can do everything and you become a cyberpunk god, and it's like, it's a really, really hollowed out world that's spent all of its time making neon signs look cool. And that's how it feels. So I'll read you the statement and then we'll end it. It says, "Dear gamers, first of all, we would like to start by apologising to you for not showing the game on the base consoles before it premiered, and in consequence, not allowing you to make a more informed decision about your purchase. That was entirely decision-based. That wasn't an accident. Apologising generally means like you fucked up and it was a bit of an accident or you oversighted something. This is just to cover up. They knew they didn't want people to review the game. If it was amazing, they would have sent out codes. They didn't. They covered it up. Then it says we should have paid more attention to making it play better on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which is funny because that's like saying we spent all of our time making sure it runs well on PC, PlayStation 5, etc. It doesn't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sorry, it's not on PlayStation 5, I don't believe. Or is it? I don't know. But whatever. It doesn't run well on, like, the PS4 Pros or anything. Sorry, I don't follow consoles that closely. But basically, it doesn't run really well on any system. It constantly downscales. Even on my top-end PC, it's pretty poor. Second, we will fix bugs and crashes and improve the overall experience. That's a given. That happens in every video game. The first round of updates has just been released, with another one coming in 7 days. We'll get frequent new improvements after the holidays. We'll release one patch in January, followed by patch 2 in February. Basically, they're saying it should have launched after February, because these 2 patches were probably already well underway. So they're admitting that they just intentionally launched it for no reason other than money. It says that this will be followed by a patch 2 in February. These fixes should fix most prominent gamers are having on last-gen consoles, and will be informing you about the contents of each patch ahead of their release. This won't make the game look next-gen on an old console, or compared to a high-spec PC, but it will be closer to the experience. So this is just talking about performance. And the problem is, there's nothing in the world, it's very hollow. Crap AI, none of this seems to be talked about or touched upon. This is all about performance. It says, finally, we would like everyone who buys our games to be satisfied. We would appreciate it if you gave us a chance, but if you are not pleased with the game, you can refund on PlayStation Network or Xbox, but apparently PlayStation aren't letting you refund. For box versions, you can try a refund at the store. Should this not be possible, contact us. And then it says, PC gamers will also be getting regular updates for fixes. Humbly, and then a load of people. So, you know, people are saying that's great, honest dev work, but the point is, they knew this was happening. This statement was probably already prepared. the game went gold, and they were like, right, what's the statement we want to work on? So that's Cyberpunk. Yeah, at times it looks pretty phenomenal. At times the story's good. At times it is immersive, but as an overall experience right now, you're literally not missing out. So don't rush out and spend a load of money to buy it. At least wait till February. Because that's when the patch 2 will be done, and then see how it is after February. If you really can't wait and you don't care about bugs or immersion and you just want to play it, you know, that's a choice. You've got a choice, but for me, I'll probably pick it up, play it for a little bit longer, see how it feels, and then probably put it down until February, play some other games. I'm not here to play games and force myself to play them. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing, press that join button. UK members, by the way, if you're a UK guy, you get a free YouTube Premium subscription to me, so if you do have that, that'd be wonderful. If not, a like and a comment helps massively. Hopefully this reaches the sub box, because YouTube and Google has been down. I know I've been posting a lot of benchmark videos, but generally Gears 5 has been a bit bland. I'm waiting for something actually new to come out to play, which probably will be the campaign, so you probably see some campaign videos. But this is the video wrapped up. Alright, peace.